Imagine a hero shooter where the hero never showed. Imagine a game with a player base that just refused to grow. A 5v5 hero shooter with gameplay that's just okay, and characters that remind me of Tupperware and white bread. No, I'm not talking about Overwatch. Please stop bringing up Overwatch. This game is not Overwatch. It's actually something else. Imagine a game with a story that no one watches. A game that costs $40 that Sony totally botches. It has all my favorite characters, like Lemmy, Dawn, and Craig. At least, I think that's what their names are. I never bothered to check. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe. As a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Boop-a-doop-ba, keep-a-doop-da, scoop-a-boop-ba, beep-beep-beep-beep-beep, phlegm. Concord was about as good as accidentally peeing on your own leg. Concord, we're here to lay you to rest. We know you tried your best. You copied so much cool stuff just to turn out lame in the end. I'll never forget my favorite moments, like when Hot Sauce Guy jumped. Remember when he jumped? That was really cool. A rat just ran by on my desk, and even the rat didn't want to play Concord, even though I blessed him with the chance. The $40 he could afford, but the rat just stared on in a trance. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. Rat, 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 rat. Concord's dead. The Costco guys made more money than you. They were just on Jimmy Fallon too. Imagine Lennox being on Jimmy Fallon, because I literally can't. The rat on my desk is eating all my Cheerios and grapes, and also Concord is dead. Concord like the grave, your legacy is safe. As a game that no one played, and a price that no one paid. Rat-a-ta-ta, beep-a-da-boop. Skim, milk, the rat fleet, doo-da, doo-da. A guy said he really liked it, and then a bunch of rats ate his face. That's the sound he made when Concord passed away. I wish things turned out different, but either way I'm getting paid. Concord's dead, Concord's dead, and boy is my face red. When the game came out, everybody overslept. Concord's dead, Concord's dead. Holy crap, Lois, Concord's dead. When the game out, people played everything else instead.
Welcome. Welcome, everybody. I've missed you. But maybe I missed you a little bit less, because some of you got to attend a members-only stream last night. That's right. That's right. If you are a member, you get access to streams that other people don't get to go to. It is, in fact, true. Hate to tell you. Hate to tell you, but that's how it works. That's how it works. There are perks to it. How is everybody? I'm feeling good, man. For the first time in a while, there is a pleasant surprise in the games industry, and I am here for it. I'm excited. We'll look at the indie stuff. We'll look at Path of Exile, which is shockingly, but also not shockingly, continuing to just pop off and pop off and pop off. Like, it's just blowing up. Like, no joke. 14 hours before launch, so last night, they already had 100 people in the queue for his area. So my understanding is they have all of these servers set up based on different like time zones and locations and stuff, which is normal. But just in this person's server cluster, there were already 5,000 people waiting. I didn't even know you could do that, but apparently you can. They've also reported that they have hit 1 million early access redemptions. So they've already moved like 1 million copies of early access for this game, which will be free to play. But over 1 million people have already bought at least the $30 version to get in and try it. Like popping off there. That's crazy. What else is there? Marvel Rivals, that's a thing. That is apparently popping off as well. Last night it peaked at 444,000 players, which is wild. I've not tried the final launch. I tried the beta, but I've not tried the final version yet. If any of you guys have tried it, let me know what you think. I am interested in hearing what your perspective is there. What else is there? More confirmation. It looks like that Ubisoft is seriously talking with Tencent about a buyout, and it's getting so serious that they had to halt trading on Ubisoft shares because they started spiking so much, which is kind of a big deal because it looks like Ubisoft might be just saying, screw it, we got to sell. So we'll look at all that. We'll look at all that. Is that a crisp, cold Dr. Pepper next to you there? No, so I had to take the boys to Nana's house this morning, and it's because Nikki and I are busy packing for a trip tomorrow, and then after I hop off stream, we've got to get ready for that. So they went to spend some time with Nana, and so I dropped by, got Nikki and I breakfast bagel things from Mickey D's, and you have to get a drink if you want to redeem the meal coupon thing. So I just got a Diet Coke. And I know some people are purists, and some people are like, you don't get Diet Coke or a soda in the morning, Luke. Watch me. Watch me. I never got that. I was like, you drink a sugary latte and that's okay, but God forbid it's carbonated. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't get it. You know? I don't get it. Diet Coke on sub. If they had Coke Zero, I would do that. I don't know what the difference is, but I like Coke Zero more. Carbonation is God's greatest gift to humanity. Dude, for real. It can make an okay drink good. And I'll tell you what, nothing beats McDonald's Sprite. Tastes like you're drinking boiling battery acid. Burns your throat so good, and I am here for it. Nothing feels better than a McDonald's Sprite, like after a long day. I'll tell you what. When I was preparing for a show called The Full Monty, which I'll let you figure out what that show is about, but I was playing one of the leads in that show, and I was losing a bunch of weight for it because I was like, I want to look good for this. So over the course of a few months during the rehearsal period, I lost a ton of weight. And one of the ways I did it was by eating basically nothing but grilled chicken, Caesar salads, and then like grilled chicken with rice. And I ate nothing but that. But the one way I was able to get my brain to be okay with that was by rewarding myself at the end of the day with a single Sprite from McDonald's. That was my little dopamine shot. That's what did it for me. That's all I needed. I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man. Real quick, excuse me. Arik, thank you for the membership. Let's Chat M with J, thank you for the membership. Sir David 4K, thank you for the membership. Welcome, my friend. Robert Connor, 16 months of membership. Ooh, baby. Diet Coke is the formula from New Coke. From the 80s, Coke Zero is the current formula. Oh, is that real? Whatever it is, Coke Zero is better. It doesn't have that weird aftertaste, you know? Diet Coke has that weird aftertaste. I think it's the aspartame or whatever. Yeah. Ugh. Anyway. I love the taste of McDonald's electricity. Yeah, dude, for real. So yeah, then the other thing, this, are you ready to, I'm going to hype you up. Somebody who would probably know, a journalist with VGC said, expecting a very big Game Awards next year or next week. Fire up the hype train. Is that a guess or a hint? Definitely not a guess. I do think there's lots of stuff that could be there. Stuff like Wonder Woman could easily be there. There's a strong chance that Naughty Dog has a trailer just because they've been sitting on something for a long time, and they just recently started talking very openly about their next project, which is good. But like, there's a bunch of stuff that could be there. It's just not there yet. It's just not there yet. But maybe next week, maybe. There is also, hate to tell you this, there is a very strong chance I will not be able to co-stream the Game Awards. It looks like I will be on a plane when it's happening. I hate to say that, but it looks like that's probably what's going to happen. Or maybe I'll be able to do like a co-stream from the car on the Uber ride back. I don't know. But I may be in like on a plane when the Game Awards is happening. So we'll deal with that. What are you going to do though? Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. Live Luke on the go. I could be that freaking guy that was doing all the videos and streams on the airplane and then he got kicked off. What was that guy's name? It's probably a Kick streamer, honestly. Whenever there's something stupid, I'm like, it's probably Kick. Probably a Kick streamer. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. But let's talk about it in case you were not here during the members only stream. Let's catch up on Indiana Jones stuff, okay? New segment. Hoping for a Concord 2 announcement. I think we all are. I think we all are, frankly. So, okay. Collect. For the first time in a while, at least for me, it feels like a really happy, pleasant surprise has landed at our feet. Reviews for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle have come out, and they actually are quite good. They're sitting in like the B to B plus range, which is like 85 to 90. And so PC scores are sitting at 87, Xbox at 86. To be fair, because I know some people are going to point it out, yes, it is standard for like Metacritic scores to drop by a point or two, except in rare situations like Baldur's Gate, which I think actually went up in the weeks after and months after it launched. But typically, these platforms send review codes to outlets they think will be favorable and all that. So typically after the game goes out, the score will drop a little bit as the more critical people review it. The average will drop just a tad, but even that still suggests that it's going to be floating in that like 85 range, which is without a doubt a good score. Okay, it's a good score. It's not a masterpiece score, but that is a good score. That is a good game. Now, I think what's so fascinating is that so many of us, we're just so braced for another AAA, like big budget Disney involved disappointment that we were just ready for it. We were braced. We were prepared for this to come out and be like a 65. That's kind of what I was worried for. My final prediction on the members only stream right before, like 2 minutes before the reviews went up, I said 74. That's what I think. And I'm very glad to have been wrong. I mean, a lot of people are coming out saying they really, really like it. Some people are even saying this is their game of the year. And we're going to look at a couple of these to get an idea of why they're saying that. But I do want to just like remind everybody, this is what's great about going in with tempered expectations, because now I'm like giddy. I'm excited to see this and I'm excited to try it. Whereas I saw some people that thought this was going to be like a 10 out of 10 masterpiece who were complaining that it's really disappointing seeing the score at 86. Like there were some people that were bummed out by this score because they allowed themselves to get hyped to the point where they thought it was going to be like a 98 or something. And so having tempered expectations allows you to be all the more excited when you see something like this, which is a pleasant surprise. So we'll look through some of these. Some of these are interesting. There are some common threads through a lot of these. A handful of these sites I just don't frankly recognize because they are from other countries. Radio Times, I'm not sure what that is. Pure Xbox gave it a 6 out of 10. Ever since we caught wind of Machine Games making an Indiana Jones title, we've been very excited about the prospect, but ultimately we're a little disappointed in the final product. The overall experience isn't bad. It successfully sells the Indiana Jones thing, blah, blah, blah. So we'll look at these. I think probably the easiest one. I don't want to interfere with any individual creator's review, but a big, like, 18 million sub channel, I feel more comfortable looking at their review. So let's see what IGN said about it in their review. Let's check it out.
Jones, Professor Archaeology Department, Marshall College, Bedford, Connecticut.
Yeah?
Connecticut. How dare you?
You ain't no nun, sweetheart.
It's been over 30 years since I wore out my VHS copy of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Since then, the film franchise has been in a state of escalation.
Shia. I always forget Shia LaBeouf was in that, dude. Oh, man. What was that, 2008? Man, yeah, without a doubt, Indiana Jones has been mistreated, I would say, in recent memory. Not given a fair shot. I think that's fair.
You go after uncovering the literal holy grail. Aliens, then time machines. Apparently, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is the perfect antidote to all of this. One that uses its own figurative dial of destiny to propel us back in time to Indy's prime. The result is easily one of the best Indy stories across both the games and the movies, with painstakingly detailed environments, wonderfully atmospheric tomb raiding and puzzle solving, a pitch-perfect score,
Egypt
and
stuff.
quite possibly...
Watch out, Luke, Skitty. Egypt stuff. This is one of the things that is perhaps the most pleasant surprise. And again, this is coming from games journalists, so you never know whether to take this serious or not. But they say that the puzzles are actually pretty well done. Now, is that well done for somebody playing on journalist difficulty? Or is that just generally a well-done puzzle? Time will tell. But typically, if they're really bad, we do find out about that. So it seems like the puzzles are well thought out. The environments are much bigger and broader than people were kind of expecting. There is a good amount of things to do that is like optional in certain areas. There's going to be extra tombs or extra like artifacts to discover and all of that.
Greatest punch sound effect in the business.
Jesus Christ almighty. That was aggressive. Did he turn up the volume? That was a lot.
Punch sound effect in the business. While it does stumble occasionally as a stealth-focused sneak 'em up, the Great Circle is an otherwise grand and gorgeous globe-trotting adventure that left me giddy as a schoolboy. Yes, it's true that bringing Indiana Jones back to the big screen twice after he literally rode off into the sunset was probably a poor choice.
That was the thing I remember with Last Crusade. Like, it was so clear that was supposed to be the end of the story for Indy, and you just, like, move on. It's okay. That's the end of Harrison Ford's time with it. He wants to do other stuff. And then they cut him a big-ass check, and he came back. And then they did another one, and he came back again. It's like, sometimes it's okay to just leave things be.
But having Machine Games craft an Indy experience inspired by all the best games in that...
I did see somebody on Twitter saying that, how could you give this game a good score? Look, Indy doesn't even hold the pistol right. I'm going to rewind it. Somebody looked at this and thought this was a big blunder, a big oversight.
Having...
They're like, what, how could you possibly give this a good score? That's not how you hold guns.
Machine Games craft an Indy experience inspired by all the best games in that development team's past, Bethesda chose wisely. Machine Games' most immediate legacy is the modern Wolfenstein series, and there's certainly some of that on show in The Great Circle. Like The New Order in its excellent prequel and sequel, The Great Circle is first-person and highly story-driven. And I'd wager if there's anyone who hates Nazis as much as Indy, it's the Gestapo-gutting, SS-slaying BJ Blazkowicz.
I will saw your head off with this here appliance, you hear me?
The Great Circle is not, however, a bloodthirsty exercise in double-fisted, lead-flinging fury.
Tombs, get ready, there's tombs. Luke's gonna geek out.
Unlike Wolfenstein, The Great Circle's focus is patient and slower-paced exploration and stealth, where guns are rarely and barely a vibe.
What the hell was that? He's standing like right in front of him. Is he looking for you as you stand? Maybe what this is, he's in a, okay, he's in a costume thing. He's in a disguise. See the little collar thing? Okay. See, that's important to get. Because I was like, if he's just Indiana Jones standing in front of an enemy and the enemy can't see him from this distance, how is this a 9 out of 10? But if he's in a disguise and that's why he doesn't see it, that could explain it. At least that better be what this is. Otherwise, like, if he actually should be pulling aggro here and they behave like that, that's going to be a problem, but we'll see.
Barely and barely a viable option.
That little guy packed a punch.
That said, with the founding members of Machine Games all hailing from fellow Swedish studio Starbreeze, Machine Games' DNA admittedly runs much deeper than Wolfenstein. For many of the team, it dates back to 2004's outstanding and highly acclaimed The Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay. Riddick's first-person fisticuffs and adventure elements appear to have been a huge inspiration on The Great Circle, and it's refreshing to be playing a game like Butcher Bay again, particularly when it's done with this much verve and commitment to a storied franchise. For clarity, I doubt anybody would have been shocked to see an Indiana Jones game in 2024 arrive as a clone of the blockbuster Uncharted series. It certainly wouldn't have been unprecedented. After all, both 1999's Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine and 2003's Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb both followed a fairly strict Tomb Raider template. Pivoting to pay tribute to the man who usurped Lara as the premier grave-robbing vagabond of modern video games would hardly have been surprising, particularly as games today have become increasingly homogenized overall.
The game reveals the secret.
Oh, are we playing a game, Jones? I love games.
But The Great Circle isn't an Uncharted clone, and it's all the better for it. It's an Indiana Jones game I didn't even know I wanted, and sometimes that's the best surprise. I like highly cinematic, quality third-person shooters as much as the next man, but not every game needs to be one. And besides, you can do a lot worse than taking notes from Butcher Bay, another licensed tie-in with the extremely rare distinction of being even better than the film upon which it was based.
Yeah, I do think it was certainly a big risk to try and go the route of something like this instead of what I think a lot of people expected, which was Uncharted, go third person adventure, go for big budget set pieces, that type of thing. The reviews are pretty consistent in suggesting that the stealth focus does not like detract from the indie experience. Like the set pieces, the story, the action is there. It's much more sparse, but it's paced in between the stealth stuff, so it doesn't actually affect it too much. And that's perhaps a surprise to me. I would have thought that doing an indie game, but as a stealth game primarily, was just a weird choice. But the people who have played it say that it works pretty well.
The first-person perspective blesses.
Can I check what other games this guy reviewed? Yeah, so this guy in particular, we looked at it on the members only stream yesterday. He's done, what was it? Maybe I can pull it up. It's not much. He did reviews. He does a lot of like the TV stuff. He did the Dead Rising Digital Deluxe Remaster. Adam Sandler's special, he reviewed that. Prior to that, he did Expeditions Mud Runner, Bluey the video game. He is not one of their main reviewers, to be very, very clear. Fortnite Festival reviewed that. I think the reason they gave this to him is because he does a lot of movies, so he's probably a movie buff. That seems to be what I'm getting from this. I think he's a movie buff, and so they had him review this. Does that mean that you'll agree with him? Not necessarily. You know, it's not like this is one of their main go-to reviewers. He is a senior editor on the reviews team, but I don't think he typically is the one that does many of these himself. But there's other reviewers that are listed in the Metacritic, for example, that have reviewed a lot more and more consistently. Josh West, for example, that pretty much runs Games Radar. He's the one that gave it a perfect score over on Games Radar. But to be fair, he says,
donated 100 Australian
"Oh geez, dude.
Super chat. Nice to catch a live stream. Been a heavy year at work, my friend. Hope Bear doing well and the family are good."
Oh yeah, we're rocking and rolling. We're gonna go on a little mini vacation this weekend. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be really, really good. And thank you. Very, very generous. My goodness, Sean, thank you. But I thought this was funny. He's like, the best adventure Indy has embarked on in over 30 years. I was like, that really is not a high standard. Like, that really is not saying much, but okay. If you said ever, okay, that's a statement, but it's the best thing that's happened when you compare it to the massive flops that everyone hated. You know. Let's see. Hold on. Let me catch up on these real quick. Let's chat with M and J, or let's chat M with J. I can't read. Thank you for the 10. Playing Indy now, the AI isn't great, but that makes it more fun. Honestly, it feels very indie. Most fun is the puzzles, and yes, some of them are hard. Hope you enjoy, man. Yeah, I'm excited to give it a shot. Mikey, thank you for that membership. Thank you. Glad to have you. Edgar Vasquez, thank you for the 10. This is a legit question. Who is this game for? Are there really a ton of Indiana Jones fans out there asking for this game? I do think while this has connected with some of these people who have reviewed it, I personally would not expect this to blow up to the point where it's selling like millions and millions of copies or anything. Like, I think it's going to be much more niche even still. That's okay, because Game Pass is built to basically give you more niche stuff to keep you subscribed. So I think as a Game Pass title, this is without a doubt a big W. It's a recognizable franchise. It's something that's reviewed well, and people are going to find it probably worth playing based on these reviews. And so that's a great get for Game Pass. If it were launching as a standalone and they were going to do a big $200 million marketing campaign for it, probably wouldn't make a lot of sense at that point, because Indy has had a lot of brand reputation maybe eroded. You know, the stereotypical thing is that it's like, oh, if it's Indy, it's just a cash grab. That's what it's been for like 30 years, has been, if there's ever anything with Indy, it's just because Harrison Ford was going broke and needed some money. This is the first time it seems like they actually had a novel idea and that it actually was something that was good. Rocksteady showed off the new Deathstroke design. Oh God. Is it bad? We'll look at it. We'll look at it. Oh, it leaked. That's what it is. So did they mean to show it off? I don't think they did. I see a leak from 2 months ago. I don't know. We'll pull it up later. We'll pull it up after this. But anyway, going back to the Indy thing, it does seem, where did the tab go? Boop. It does seem like this is connecting, at least with old school fans. And that's one thing I've noticed is most of the reviewers from the big sites are from the generation that probably grew up on Indiana Jones, probably born in the 80s or late 70s. And a lot of those people are really clicking with it. The younger audience, there are some of them that are eating it up and absolutely loving it. I think they're loving it for just being a solid game. And so if you are an indie fan who appreciates solid games, it seems like you're going to be very, very excited for this. And those people, when that crosses over, those that like these kind of stealth games with lots of puzzles, those people are given this like game of the year, which is interesting. I mean, I think we all were just like, it's probably going to come out and be just because that's what we've been conditioned to expect with Indy. Frankly, a lot of the previews looked pretty A lot of the stealth AI and stuff looks but it's like I said in the Skeptical Look video that I did, where I was like, there's a chance that this is just one of those games that looks clunky as hell when you're watching it, but when you play it, it doesn't feel that way. It might just be one of those games. And it seems like it apparently is. When people actually play it and put their hands on the controller, they connect with it much more.
The Great Circle with a fantastic sense of scale. Looking up in awe of the Great Pyramid or staring out at...
How dare you? Oh my God. Oh my God. Does anyone know what he just did? I cannot believe this was allowed to be published. Cannot believe this. Yeah, at the Pyramid Necropolis, there are different pyramids, okay? Okay, they're not all the same. They're not all the same. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. I was hoping there would be like a clearly labeled one. Oh, nope, nope. Oh God, I'm breaking everything. Back, go back a tab. Oh my God. Okay. Google's freaking out on me. Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on. But then I'm going to do a whole separate diatribe when we play this, rambling about the pyramid complex, okay?
Or staring out at a giant Nazi battleship perched atop a mountain in the Himalayas simply has a more pronounced effect at eye level. It also does wonders for immediacy, with puzzle solving in particular benefiting greatly. Picking up and poring over documents and clues, directly manipulating and placing objects, and watching the results unfold in front of your eyes makes it feel like you're personally inside some of the world's most expensive escape rooms. Puzzles come regularly, and they're mostly light lifting, but I've encountered at least a couple of slightly curlier ones that left me smugly satisfied that I wasn't stumped. If you do hit a roadblock, there's a baked-in hint system that will only interject if you take an extra photo of the offending puzzle with your in-game camera. It's a smart and courteous way of offering aid only when asked that will keep players off their phones and in the game. On top of this, it's really the best showcase for the incredible amount of granular detail Machine Games has stuffed into seemingly every surface in the Great Circle. From streak marks on freshly wiped glass to the slow trickle of wax from a candle lighting your way down an ancient stairwell.
See, that's pretty. That's pretty. It's hard to tell the smudge marks and stuff because this is... Guys, again, this is 2024. The whole point is these games run at 4K 60, and we're publishing at 1080. The bitrate looks like it's for a 720p video. Like, what are we doing? Man.
In the Great Circle. From streak marks on freshly wiped glass to the slow trickle of wax from a candle lighting your way down an ancient stairwell, these are things that wouldn't be noticed from any other viewpoint. Are they entirely necessary to make the Great Circle a great game? Maybe not, but they do paint a picture of a project where no flourish is too small if they make the world look and feel a fraction more authentic.
Classic Indy.
Nazi idiots. They missed this.
After beginning with a short flashback to Raiders of the Lost Ark as a tutorial, one that might have been a tad indulgent had it not been so utterly well done, The
It's a
Great
little
Circle's
cute,
second
though.
level
That's
is a
cute.
wonderful and equally nostalgic trip through Connecticut's Marshall College. It's a magnificent rendition and draped in layers upon layers of bespoke details that distracted me constantly on my way to the objective. Busts and other paraphernalia related to the history of the school, cabinets full of exotic items, notice boards cluttered with handmade signs. If you'd shown this version of Indy's famous school to the 8-year-old version of me who cut his teeth aimlessly point and clicking his way around Marshall College in 1989's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade: The Graphic Adventure, I might have had you burnt at the stake, or at least lowered into a sacrificial lava pit without a heart. The eye-catching environments keep coming. The ornate Italian architecture and crusty catacombs of Vatican City, an ancient town and multiple
Okay, this is a better angle. This is a better angle for me to geek out. Earlier, he showed the clip right there. He showed that clip, and he said, in the shadow of the Great Pyramid or whatever. That, sir, with the casing stones on top, that is not the Great Pyramid. It's one of them, but that's not the Great Pyramid. That is the Pyramid of Khafre. The one to the right over there without the big casing stones on the top, that's the Great Pyramid of Khufu. They're different. Okay. In all the pictures, you know, it looks like they're kind of the same, but they're not. I found a picture that they'll demonstrate this. Kind of put them side by side. Yeah, here. So like you see this Pyramid of Khufu, it doesn't have the casing stones on top. It's just the big pyramid that sits to the right of it. And then the Pyramid of Khafre is the one behind the Sphinx. That's one where the debate is like, oh, did Khafre build the Sphinx, or was it already there? Because the way it's set up is like, this is totally useless information, but I'm going to tell you anyways, and you're going to like it. It's like Khufu's pyramid is here, right? Big old pyramid. The Sphinx is like right, maybe if we go like right here. And then Khafre's pyramid is right here, and that's this one with the casing stones. So Khufu, right there. Khafre, right there. Sphinx is here. And then there's this really weird like pathway that just stretches around the Sphinx to go up. It's this big roadway basically that would have carried the stones from the river docks up to the pyramid. So people think, some archaeologists think that the Sphinx predates all of that because it was already there, which is why they had to build around it instead of building this road at a weird angle and then building the Sphinx later. But that's a whole other thing, okay? That's a whole other thing. My point is, it's not the Great Pyramid. That was the Pyramid of Khafre. Great Pyramid's over here.
Nazi dig sites in the shadow of the Egyptian pyramids and the Great Sphinx. Sukkotai's winding waterways and flooded temples, which are being reclaimed by the jungle. It's all excellent stuff and bolstered by exemplary ray trace lighting to boot. I love the huge contrasts between the levels. And the Great Circle, as a fanciful archaeological concept, is an admirably effective premise to justify Indy hopping all over the globe during a single story.
Aim for something soft.
The strength of that
What a great scream effect. Wow. They really, I mean, that was very indie. The oversized scream, the weird one-liner. That was
story.
Aim for something soft.
The strength of that story here is one of the Great Circle's true assets, and it's been brought to life with some very impressive performances. For the most part, Troy Baker's Harrison Ford impersonation is close to spot on, and Baker's otherwise distinct voice disappears in the role.
Legend says that the Great Circle does have some power, something about its geometry, a deeper force that connects these sites.
Credit too must go to voice actor David Shaughnessy, whose unerring version of Denholm Elliott's Marcus Brody may go criminally unnoticed in Baker's shadow.
Latin? Well, that is a novelty.
This
It is. Every time I hear Troy Baker's performance here, though, I am shocked that it's him. It really does sound like him.
would have very much felt like
impressive.
a gimmick, considering Elliott passed away back in 1992, but Brody's small role feels meaningful and respectful, and not like a stunt.
Can't just run away from your problems, Indiana.
Marios Gavrilis also kills it as the slimy and sinister Nazi archaeologist Emmerich Voss. He spits his dialogue with such venom, I imagine his microphone may have required a tiny umbrella. Most of the meaningful conversations occur in well-directed cutscenes, which are on par with those in modern Wolfenstein, albeit punctuated with an appropriate amount of slightly slapstick Indiana Jones humor when the fists start flying. There are basically two movies worth of cutscenes here, but it never felt like too much. This is Indy in his prime, and I'm on board for every extra minute of it.
More of a dog person.
As a rule, the Indiana Jones series is always at its best when it involves a desperate race to track down an artifact before the Nazis can nab it for what they believe will be an unbeatable world-conquering advantage. Those movies were video game fetch quests before video game fetch quests, and the Great Circle naturally embraces it, immediately beginning on the right foot by setting its action in 1937, directly between the events of Raiders and the Last Crusade as the world simmers towards the Second World War. It's honestly quite remarkable how convincingly...
Also, this fur hat looks way better than it did in that trailer preview thing they did. I wonder if this is PC footage versus... Does it say? No, he played it on Series X. Yeah, this already looks way better than it did. You remember how it looked like it was made with like scales? Like it was all white and silvery scales. Like, ugh.
The Great Circle
looks way
fits
better
into the hole between those two impeccable films, successfully exploiting the odd chronology of the original Indy trilogy. That goes far beyond just providing a little extra context on Indy's separation from Marion Ravenwood too. In fact, one of the greatest compliments I can pay The Great Circle is that it may well be the best Indiana Jones movie you've never seen. The music too is a victory on all fronts, and I love how in sync it feels with Raiders and the Last Crusade. I was especially thrilled to see The Great Circle crescendo to a showdown that follows tightly in the footsteps of both of those films, yet still managed to knock me out.
That was weird. I think it's going to be one of those games where, like, if you want to nitpick and pull stuff apart, there will be plenty. But it's campy and unapologetically campy. And so if you're looking for that fun, just Indiana Jones adventure, understanding it's not going to be like a Naughty Dog super gritty experience, you can probably have a really good time with it. Just a fun game, and I think that is kind of refreshing. And again, I cannot stress enough just how awesome it is to see a surprise from a release this year. Like, so far this year, we've had a couple of surprises with like Pal World, where it comes out of nowhere, or Helldivers, which kind of comes out of nowhere to blow up and be huge. But for the most part, it seems like every time we get a big game that people are interested in, it kind of lands with a little bloop, and then it's just gone. But this is a pleasant surprise where it is significantly better than I think the average person was expecting it to be based on the previews. And maybe there's a lesson to be taken from that, where we could look at like the trailers, the previews, how they marketed this. Did they do something wrong, or did they try to pitch this in a way to lower expectations so that people would be all the more surprised when it comes out and is solid? I don't know. I don't know if it was intentional, or like I said in that Skeptical Look video, maybe this is just one of those games that looks weird and clunky as hell when you're watching it, but when you play it, it's fun. And there's a lot of games like that, and maybe this is just one of those.
Yeah, with a brilliantly unexpected twist.
Out of my way, pal!
On the topic of knockouts, combat in The Great Circle is satisfyingly brutal without being gratuitously violent, which is in keeping with its family-friendly, swashbuckling adventure serial roots. I love the deeply impressive sound design, which makes every strike sound like a golf club being slammed into a huge bunch of celery.
Oh, du willst kämpfen?
And I love
After that, you want to fight me? Yeah.
how visceral the fighting is in first person. You block and parry blows with the correct timing and deliver quick jabs and loaded up power punches. On top of that, Indy's bullwhip can be used to quickly disarm enemies and stun them long enough to either wade in and whack them or scoop up their dropped weapon and bludgeon them with it. I enjoy how Butcher Bay adjacent the fighting is, but I'm a little unconvinced by the stamina system that rules over it, which depletes as Indy exerts himself climbing, sprinting, and throwing hands. It just creates pauses throughout the action where you'll be compelled to wait for a beat, or jog backwards as a gaggle of goose-stepping morons march towards you with their dukes up. I can't really detect what it adds other than something to be arbitrarily upgraded to the point where it's no longer an inconvenience. Combat escalates with your actions, so if you do grab a gun and start blasting, expect all armed enemies in your vicinity to respond with hot lead of their own. Indy can't survive this kind of barrage.
Now a member.
Ooh, thank you. Anon just became a member at the show-off tier. Anon is officially better than all of us. Anon is officially better.
So, for the most part, the best thing to do is forget the firearms. This does admittedly create a bit of silliness if you stir up a large enemy response and park yourself anywhere your attackers need to climb to.
Hold on, say that again.
Do is forget the firearms. This does admittedly respond with hot lead of their own. Indy can't survive this kind of barrage, so for the most part, the best thing to do is forget the firearms. This does admittedly create a bit of silliness if you stir up a large enemy response and park yourself anywhere your attackers need to climb to reach. You can, for instance, stand at the top of a ladder and clobber the crap out of everyone who climbs it for some time, and no one will figure out that they have guns and can simply shoot at you, on regular difficulty at least.
I mean, that just seems stupid. I mean, that just seems dumb. He says at least on regular difficulty, so does that mean on harder difficulties, in this case, they would take their guns out of their holsters and shoot you? Is that what he's implying? The only reason they're not doing, like, going for lethal is because of the difficulty level? I guess, but, like, this just seems really dumb. Like, this is what we saw in the previews, was really weird, stupid behavior that was alluded to by some reviewers and some people who previewed it, who pointed out that, like, the AI is kind of dumb. They don't respond in a way you would expect, where, you know, you punch them, you whip the gun out of their hand, they drop it to the ground, and they don't try to pick it up. They just decide to punch you instead. Things like that. And this is like a really, like, egregious example of that. I mean, the takeaway from all these reviews, because spoiler, they're gonna rate this a 9. So they, not a 1. That's just what the preview says. But I guess they're suggesting that this type of thing is not disruptive enough to like pull you out of it or upset you. I guess that's what it means.
And clobber the crap out of everyone who climbs it for some time, and no one will figure out that they have guns and can simply shoot at you, on regular difficulty at least. But you'd be colouring outside the lines here, playing like this. Indy doesn't mind leaving bodies in his wake when necessary, but he's not some moustache-twirling mass murderer. You can always fire up Wolfenstein if you need to get some of that out of your system. On the topic of guns though, Indy's personal revolver is, sadly, a big disappointment. I used it all of twice, but both were total anticlimaxes. The first was an early boss battle where Indy's pistol really should have been written out of the fight before the showdown began. After placing several bullets into a man's unarmored head, it became clear that shooting this bloke wasn't the way Machine Games intended me to clear this encounter.
Yeah, I mean, that's just stupid. That's bad.
The second was late in the story, where I thought there's no point rolling credits with revolver rounds in the cylinder, and figured I'd quickly plug 2 Nazis that suddenly appeared ahead of me in an open elevator. They simply took too many shots to go down. It seems like a weird fumble when the scene of Indy actually using his pistol and taking out the Raiders swordsman in a single shot is one of the most memorable moments in the whole film franchise. Revolver rounds should absolutely remain.
What was that dog leg? Did you see that?
Most memorable moments in the whole film franchise. Revolver.
Watch the dog's leg. Wait for it. I have a question. Oh, maybe it's a feature because he's a Nazi dog. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's like Saluting the Fuhrer. Maybe that's what that is. I I feel like there's a lot of overlooking like pretty serious weird problems the deeper into this review we get, but I guess the takeaway is they don't care, or it doesn't affect your overall enjoyment of the game. Because, like, look at this. All 3 legs glitch up into its body. Like, it's noticeable. He should be charging you. Instead, he's just turning off. There's the stuff with, like, the enemies that just file one by one up the ladder to you. Like, to me, that stuff seems like it should be a bigger deal. Or shooting, you know, the guy multiple times in the face. If you don't want people to shoot him to beat the boss fight, just don't give Indy his gun or ammo for it. Like, it's just weird.
Revolver rounds should absolutely remain exceedingly rare, but the pistol itself really should have shipped with the stopping power of its cinematic counterpart.
Yeah, make ammo really tough. Maybe he has like 5-6 rounds for the entire level, like the entire Vatican section or the entire Egyptian section and something like that. So you can use it and it'll be like a one-stop, boom, you're down, he's dead. But you need to use it very sparingly, and it makes so much noise that it alerts everybody. But at least when you choose to use it, it's effective. I think that makes more sense.
It also rarely feels logical that high-ranking enemies within the levels can automatically see through disguises, particularly in Vatican City. It is a mechanic I'm accustomed to thanks to the likes of Hitman, which, I'll be clear, is another game I love, but it's definitely a little sillier here. It really is total nonsense that a random Italian officer would physically attack a stranger who is, for all intents and purposes, a visiting priest. This is only a mild annoyance though, and to be fair, the Great Circle actually has a very smart approach to difficulty overall. There's a lot more fiddling you can do than just adjust a single setting from easy to very hard. Enemy attributes are split into several categories, meaning you can tweak it so there are tougher enemies, but fewer of them. Maybe you want to pump up their awareness, but leave them weaker than wet newspapers. This is something I think I may try for a second run. It's good that these options are here because on regular difficulty, the stealth is quite basic. Enemies have pretty limited vision, and they're easier to sneak past than I first assumed. I definitely became progressively less cautious once I realized I could sneak across seemingly dangerously open places as long as I did it fast enough.
Like, again, I feel like they're pointing out some like really severe shortcomings in the gameplay department, especially with AI, which is what we saw in the previews. I thought when I saw this 9 out of 10 review, it was like, oh, they fixed all that. But no, it seems like all that's there. It just doesn't matter.
That said, the Great Circle does allow us to return to previously visited locations to complete all the extra side missions, even after the main adventure is complete. So I may focus on that instead of starting over. I suspect I have many more hours of auxiliary objectives to keep me busy. I only got around to ticking off a handful of them on my first run through the story, which took me about 17 hours.
About 17 hours.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle nails nearly everything about the best parts of the storied franchise upon which it's based, from the title card and location fonts to Harrison Ford's finger waggle. But its successes go way beyond its faithfulness to the finer points of the films. With a host of gorgeous and lavishly detailed levels, satisfying combat hinged on jaw-breaking haymakers, and a focus on slow-paced exploration, platforming, and puzzle solving, interspersed with a handful of high-voltage action scenes, The Great Circle is an irresistible and immersive global treasure hunt for indie fans who felt underserved by the likes of The Dial of Destiny and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Moreover, it sets itself apart from this decade's increasingly homogenized third-person action games by opting for a classic first-person perspective inspired by the likes of the Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay. If you butt your head against its generally basic stealth systems, cracks will show. But when played as intended, The Great Circle immediately ranks amongst the best Indiana Jones games ever, and it...
Oh, so if you have a problem with that, you're playing it wrong. Oh. If you play it as intended. Is that what
as
he said?
intended, The Great Circle basic stealth systems, cracks will show. But when played as intended, The Great Circle immediately ranks amongst the best Indiana Jones games ever, and its story is closer to Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade than anything that's come after. Some pundits may claim it belongs in a museum, but museums are for dusty old relics you shouldn't ever touch. The Great Circle doesn't belong in a museum. It belongs on your hard drive, where you can play the heck out of it.
I mean, so I appreciate them showing this stuff, because showing this stuff, oops, I pressed the wrong button. Showing this stuff at least lets us get a better idea of what we're getting into, right? Like, it certainly seems that combat wise, you know, things are really clunky. I still, the stupid dog just makes me laugh. Shooting this guy in the face, like, just take my revolver away. Like, shooting him point blank in the face like that twice, and he's just like, meh. That just feels weird. Like, don't even bother. Same with this. Like, they mentioned 2 or 3 different times the problems with the AI and being able to just openly sneak past people, or with this, like, they just walk up the stairs and then you push them down. Like, this is stuff you could do in Star Wars Outlaws that we ripped that game apart for. But we're just not going to say anything here, or we're going to say something, but it doesn't affect the overall experience, I guess. You know, maybe the story really is that good that it doesn't matter, or maybe the environments otherwise are so detailed. But like, even this guy, you see him walking around, he's just pacing. All of his friends are over here holding shovels and keep walking up and getting pushed down the ladder. Like, it seems like that should be a bigger, there should be a bigger response, but I don't know. I don't know. Either way, the people that play the game all the way through, the consensus right now, despite these shortcomings and problems, seems to be that despite those issues and clunkiness and all that, it still is enjoyable. It still is worth going through. And that, I think, is interesting, because it makes me wonder, okay, like, is it actually going to deliver on that level, or you know, is this something where it's going to be another Deathloop situation? Because if you recall, there was another game that got tons of critical acclaim, and then when kind of average gamers played it, they found it very lackluster, and that was Deathloop, where it got tons of 10 out of 10 scores. People said it was the greatest thing that they had ever, the developers Arcane had ever made. And then when the public got their hands on it, the AI was so bad, it was a big problem. There were technical issues that weren't really called out by a lot of outlets and stuff. And it's interesting. It's interesting to see if there's maybe going to be some of that here, because it does seem like if you are willing to overlook the bad AI, if you're willing to overlook some of this stuff, other reviews also bring up technical issues and glitches and lack of optimization, stuff like that. So maybe if you're able to overlook that, then you can enjoy it much more. But it always surprises me when I hear reviewers describe like what seemed to me to be like pretty significant issues, and then like, yep, so 9 out of 10. You know, it always just surprises me, because I'm like, I would have thought that would have a bigger deal or a bigger impact, but whatever. Interesting. Maddie gave it high praise. The Kind of Funny guys apparently didn't love it. They gave it like a 7. They said it was just kind of as a lot of people expected. So I'm gonna try it. See what I think of it. I'm interested, because again, it's ancient Egypt. Like, letting you go to Egypt alone makes me excited or interested. But if it, like, the AI stuff is something that I just, once I notice it, I can't unsee it, and it can spoil an otherwise like pretty solid game for me. And if they have similar problems, I mean, that's gonna be a thing. I saw a headline that called the game torture. Oh, really? Let's see. Let's see. Let's chat. I think the reason the AI doesn't bother me is because it makes the combat scenarios more funny or fun/funny. It's more of a sim feel, and if the AI were super good, it would make the stealth not fun. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's an option for difficulty settings where you could crank it. I do think like totally realistic stealth is not necessarily fun. I agree. I think there's perhaps a fine line between fun AI and then just dumb AI. And if they're saying that like, no, the AI was designed to work in this sort of stupid, abusable way because that's what's more enjoyable, maybe there is something there. But I think that's just really a difficult thing to pin down. It's very arbitrary, you know, because it's like, okay, well, this is fun AI. This is bad AI. Like, where's the line? It's just, I don't know. That's tricky. Ray Flu, thank you for the sub with Prime over on Twitch. Thank you to House of Haas also for gifting out a sub to the community. That's fantastic. And for paying it forward like that. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Optimus, thank you for that. Luke, you got to check Mr. Matty Plays review. Don't watch the whole review, just a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you guys were saying he ate it up. He loves it, right? I think you said that. Let me continue catching up on these as we go through. I didn't miss any super chats, guys. We go through them after we get through like segments, so it just takes a little while. But I appreciate your patience. I appreciate it. Mikey, again, thank you for the membership. We read Edgar's $10 super chat. Very generous. Thank you for that. Ford, thank you for the 5. It's insane that they never once said it requires RTX until 2 days ago. People need to talk about this. I mean, we'll see what it runs like. Does anybody have it on PC yet? Because the early access does not support the full ray tracing until the day 1 patch. Might be. I don't know. I don't know why that would be. It's weird. That part's weird. It still is. Do you think Juice Fear? Thank you for that one. Do you think Resident Evil 9 will be announced and Tomb Raider? Tomb Raider, big ol' maybe. Resident Evil 9. It's about time. They might wait till the summer because that's also Capcom. So they might wait until after Monster Hunter. And then, you know, focus all their efforts on marketing Monster Hunter and then move forward and do Resident Evil middle of next year. So they only have like one big game to worry about, you know, at a time. That might be the way to do it. Luke trying not to spill the beans. I don't know anything about that one. If I did, you know, I'd be much more coy, but I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, so aliens didn't build the pyramids. Or did they? They might have. No, they didn't. Anon, thank you again for becoming a show-off member. Blake, thank you for the 5. It seems like in general, Xbox has really low quality control across all their games. Like a lot of bugs and performance problems make it through a lot. That has like bugs and performance, sure. But quality just in general has been a difficulty for them. That they can release like Hellblade, but then also Hi-Fi Rush. It's like, what are we doing? Like that's surprising that we had two like big different releases in terms of quality and scale and polish and stuff. Nissan, thank you for the 5. Let's see. Stop coming up with better game mechanics for Indy on the fly, Luke. You're trying to get blacklisted. Gamers don't make games anymore, and it's obvious. I mean, the guys that are making Indy, the machine game guys, they're OGs. They are some of the industry vets for sure. But I mean, again, I'm surprised that in this review, like they very openly are showing pretty significant problems. And they're like, and it's a little quirky, little weird. Anyway, and then they just move on, you know? Let's see, where was I? Thank you for that 5. I'm 30 minutes away from finishing Path of Exile 2 download. I'm skipping this Clunkfest. I mean, honestly, for me, I'm like, PoE 2, Indy.
Sean Dara is now a member.
Ooh.
2 years, oh baby, I remember when the live streams were in the hundreds, now hitting the over 1,000 mark. Dude, so proud of you.
Thank you, my friend. Yeah, almost 2 years. That's crazy, dude. But yeah, I remember when we were averaging like 50 to 70 people in chat. It was very, very, very intimate. Intimate, baby. Very tiny. And it just keeps ticking up. 100K soon. Watch out, Kai. If I don't get, I wouldn't be able to get is it Kevin Hart? That doesn't sound right. Kevin Hart? I think it's Kevin Hart. Is that the name of the guy? Kevin Hart. Yeah, that's his name. It doesn't sound right when I say it out loud. Anyway, maybe I don't get Kevin Hart. What celebrity would I have to get for the stream to pop off? Keanu Reeves, probably. And then we dress up like we're in Cyberpunk and we could do that. Lolcow arc when? Starting right now. Oh man. Oh man. You're right. They did reveal Deathstroke for Suicide Squad. I guess we can talk about this here in a second. Yeah, they did reveal it. Let's see. I read that one. Thank you again, Sean, for that. I do, unironically, I do think Obi-Wan. That's a good name. Thank you for the sub with Prime over on Twitch, my friend. Thank you. I will say, part of me is like, if PoE 2 servers are just totally melting down, maybe I can then jump into Indy and I'll start PoE 2 in a couple days when the servers stabilize. Because there's no way the servers work well, right? Like there's no way PoE 2 is stable in 40 minutes when it launches, right? I don't think it's launched yet. It's in like 40 minutes, right? I mean, I hope it works well, but I think they are going to have such a flood of people. It's going to be crazy. I really think it's going to be insane. Yeah, man. Either way, I'm here for it. Should we talk about this real quick? New segment. Let me pull up the official X page for Rocksteady. Rocksteady Studios. No, they don't. Maybe here. Yeah. Okay. And then you know what we have to do. Okay. Oh, honestly, that's not bad. That's better than I was expecting. They actually got a little peak. The $5 deal actually did something to help recover a little bit. But okay, let's talk about it. So, new segment. They have revealed the next and possibly final playable character for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Or, oh, sorry, Jacob, you probably can't put that in the clip because it'll get struck. Let me try that again. They have revealed the next playable character for that game that has a no word I can't say out loud. So, what does he look like? Honestly, I think this one's fire. This is a good looking one. It's like really, really clean. It's dark. It's kind of gritty. I think this one looks good, actually. Frankly, like this is solid. A lot of us have been saying, yeah, the top comment is like, this should have been season 2. This is kind of what I'm saying. Like, I do think there was an opportunity to sort of dig themselves out of the hole they were in if they had done a lot of just pure fan service, giving people exactly what they wanted. I do think they could have done that. And maybe it wouldn't, I don't think it would have turned the game into like a smash success or anything, but I do think it would have helped at least. But instead, like, we got characters that nobody was asking for, like Lawless, who nobody had ever heard of. We got Mrs. Freeze, which is like a gender swapped alternative universe Mr. Freeze that just looks bad. Like, some of these outfits, dude. Like, you can't make it up, wearing an actual trash bag. So they could have done any number of those things to like win people over, and they had this guy in the works, but they had decided he was season 4. And it's just a great example of literally the opposite of how they should have done this. What you do with a live service game is you start out, okay? We start out early on in the timeline with like all the fan service. So this is our timeline, right? We start out, maybe profitability is low. Okay, profitability is low. We'll go green for money. We start low profitability, and then over time, your goal is to increase margins. But what we're going to do is, in terms of the levels of fan service, we're going to start really high. And then maybe over time, we start to get a little more wacky and silly. You know, you can see it with like the Call of Duty skins where they start doing a freaking, what was it, Godzilla King Kong thing where it was like an $80 pair of gauntlets. You had to pay $20 for 4 parts of the gauntlet set. And it's just like egregiously over monetized. But they waited to do that until they were much further along this timeline, until they were like all the way over here where it's all about margin and much less about, you know, doing the thing that's like pro-consumer or reasonable and rational. With this is fan service. This is what the fans wanted from day one. This was like what the first season should have been, frankly. Joker was fine. It was just a really poorly done Joker. And who knows, maybe this version of Deathstroke ends up being just like, well, guys, I've decided to hang up the cape. Doesn't wear a cape, but hang up the helmet and guns and stuff. I'm Deathstroke, but now I just want to go around helping people, and I'm going to become a therapist and talk to everybody about their problems. My ultimate ability is going to be called therapy, and when you activate your ultimate ability, we both sit down on a couch and we talk about stuff. If they do that, which honestly I wouldn't put past them at this point, then we have a problem, and that wouldn't have fixed anything. But if this really is just a solid playable character who's got maybe some unique moves and is cool and adds to the roster, that should have been season 1. Their version of the Joker should have been like, no, you remember what they said in the marketing thing where they're like, he's just misunderstood. And this Joker has some insecurities and stuff. It's like, he's the Joker, okay? When you think of The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's brilliant performance, you're not like, the Joker just needs a hug. I think that's what he needs. He's just misunderstood. He needs somebody to talk to him about the pressures of being a clown in the modern society. Like, no, he's the Joker. He's pure chaos, and that's okay. Not everybody needs to like rewrite everything into this deep moral quandary. It's like, was it Rings of Power that had orc families? Are they the ones that did orc families? That was like a whole thing where it's like, no, I mean, that wasn't a thing in the originals, but okay, whatever. So, yeah, the Joker isn't insecure about his insecurities. Yeah, I just think like this type of thing, you can see the reactions. People are like, actually, this looks really good. This is what I wanted, as this guy says. And Bats comes back as well. I hope Deathstroke plays the serious straight man and the rest of the crew bullies him, but he's armed with snappy comebacks. I'm even more excited for the Christmas skins. Santa, Shark, Krampus, and Deathstroke. That actually could be good. Yeah, thank you for completing the year of content as promised. Like, that's all solid.
And 0N donated $50 through Super Chat.
No, thank you.
Talk about Fred Interactive's video on how modern graphics development has gotten lazy and was better 9 years ago. I'd really love to hear your take on it. P.S. Ignore my other dono. It's the same question. Just oddly take.
Oh, weird. I don't see another one. It probably got stuck in processing, but don't worry. Let's see. Let's see. It was Threat Interactive's video on modern graphics. Boop, let me pull that up over here. Is it the video called Fake Optimization in Modern Graphics? Is that the one you're talking about? Is that the video you're talking about? Maybe? Let me know if that's the video you're talking about. I don't want to pull up the wrong one. Thank you for the 50. That's very generous. But, I mean, once more, I just think this is solid. This is what people wanted from day one. Like, this is all they wanted. And the fact that it's taken, you know, whatever it is now, like 9 months, 10 months to get a playable character that people actually wanted is crazy. But it just reaffirms the feeling I think a lot of us had for this whole Suicide Squad debacle, which was that it was not a game built for and being made for the gamers and for the players. It was a game that was being built in a way where they wanted to like make something that you should like. They weren't concerned with what you did like. They wanted to make something that they felt you should like. It's like, oh, you think that Lawless as a character looks really uninteresting. Well, that's a you problem. She slays. Didn't we tell you she's a streamer? She's an influencer. You should love that. She live streams her crimes. Didn't you know? Yeah, you forgot about that. Like her whole character plot point was that she live streams her crimes. It has a whole following. It's so stupid, dude. It's unbelievable. Or like Mrs. Freeze. You wanted regular Mr. Freeze because that's what you grew up seeing and reading comic books on and all that, and he's a beloved character. Well, too bad. You're getting Mrs. Freeze and you're going to like it. If you don't like it, that's a you problem. It's like they weren't concerned with what you actually wanted. They tried to give you something you should want. And it's that sort of pandering, like not even pandering because it's not giving you what you want. It's like a lecturing thing where like, you're gonna like this. Shut up, sit down and drink your slop. You know, it's just stupid. But this is actually what people wanted. And my point is, if you wanted to do Lawless, if you wanted to do Mrs. Freeze, you could do that season 6, 7, 8. Once you have the established fan base, once you have the big roster where people who like Deathstroke can play Deathstroke and don't need to worry about Lawless or try Lawless, do it that way. Do it that way. But giving players what they actually wanted after the fact, and after you spent a year giving them stuff they didn't want, you shouldn't be surprised when no players remain to play the thing that they said they wanted from day one. You know, you burned them. You burned them all, they left. So, don't you all love influencers? Yeah, that was the most insane thing. I was like, I'm technically speaking an influencer. I hate that term because I find it so stupid to be like, well, we're not like online entertainers or whatever. No, we're influencers because we influence your opinion. I'm like, no. Stop. I hate it. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Oh, well, and it was so stupid also because it's like, do you really think people are going to be like, wow, I want to be an influencer when I grow up, so I'm going to play this game with this slay influencer who streams like serious crimes? I just don't understand it. Like, it's again, so hello, fellow young kids. Like, it's so out of touch with what actual people like and don't like. It's unbelievable. But anyway, this looks solid. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I'm actually kind of excited to try Deathstroke based on this. Like, this actually looks solid. So here we are. It's coming on December 10th. Funny thing is, I'm going to be in a hotel room when this launches. So I may have to film our video like in the hotel room. And all my saves are on Xbox. Guess who's coming on the trip? We're finally going to find a use for him. He's got like candle wax spilled on him because I dropped a candle. Little tip, in case you ever spill a candle, which is a very Luke problem to have. If you ever spill a candle on your carpet and you're like, oh God, melted wax in my carpet, it's ruined. It's not. Just take paper towels, lay it over the wax, get your iron and put it over the paper towel, and it will melt the wax, and the wax will seep up into the paper towel, and then you just lift the paper towel off and the wax is gone. Brilliant, right? There. Now you can try it, spill a candle, and it's okay. But yeah, I've had to do that more than one time because I like my candles. As you can tell, I have an army. So yeah, we'll try that. I'm gonna have to record it from the hotel room, but we'll figure that out. Good problem to have. Candle tips with Luke. See, you are an influencer. How dare you? How dare you? Oh, anyway. So there's that. Also, there's this. So, where was it? Boop, boop. Here it is. Okay. Red Fajita, thank you for that one. Let's see. My YouTube Rewind had you as my top channel by a mile, and also because of you, Alt F4 Squad was... I like that. That's good. Was my top watched game this year. I appreciate it all. Thank you, my friend. And wow, Alt F4 Squad is great. That's pretty funny. That's pretty good. And thank you for watching. Thank you for that. By the way, guys, if you want to watch even more, if you've not had enough, our team member Trevor, he has started working his ass off just since the stream a couple days ago. We have our spin-off channel, Luke Stevens Clips, which is going to have little 2-minute segments that don't really fit into full dedicated segments on the live channel or main channel. Just little bitty stuff like quickly discussing the Jaguar rebrand, Balatro. We're starting an ex-Bethesda fan self-help group. Little stuff like that. If you're interested, the channel is up and available. There you go. There you go. And you can sub and hop over there before we start really pushing it everywhere. We're just trying to build up a few videos before I tell people publicly about it. Anyway, where was I? Let me finish this. Blake, thank you for the 5. Did you get around to watching the Laura Fry video on the games media / industry bubble? Yeah, I think it could be interesting to do like a full reaction to it, because on the whole, I think there's a lot of interesting bits in there. Because there really is a major disconnect between like the broader community, the gaming community, and between like the elite journalist group. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. And I'll tell you, I mean, I've seen some of these people at these events, and a lot of them are very sweet, are just genuinely very, very kind people. But there are some who are like hilariously entitled. Like, you would think these people are like Tom Cruise with how they walk around some of these places, and it's like nobody knows who you are. They see on your badge you work for this company or something, but nobody knows who you are. Sit down, like, you know. It's laughable. It's very, very funny. Yeah, that's why I think there's this like panic as the viewership is drying up in some of those spots where you're seeing like reviews from indie YouTubers that are popping off and do 2, 3, 4 times what these big websites do. There's websites like GameSpot or Kotaku, they'll do reviews and it maybe does a handful of tens of thousands of views, maybe like 30, 40,000 views. But then a YouTube channel that's run by one person will make a review on the game 2 weeks after it launches, and it'll do 500,000. And it's like, there you go. It tells you kind of everything you need. Ever been to Egypt, Luke? Watching you from Egypt. Oh, no, I'm jealous. No, I've never been to Egypt. I Would like to go one day. Absolutely. I know though, if I'm gonna do it, I want to like do the whole thing. I want to go do the tours of the pyramids. Want to go to the Valley of the Kings. I want to go see the Step Pyramid, the Bent Pyramids. I want to go, you know, along the Nile. I want to do the whole thing. I'm gonna do the whole thing. So I'm gonna have to set aside like 2, 3, 4 weeks. I've accepted maybe I'm just gonna wait until I like retire and I'm that like older dude wearing cargo shorts and then a t-shirt tucked in without a belt. Maybe I'm gonna be that guy, and that's just gonna be my thing, is I just disappear for a month and I just go hiking around the pyramids. Maybe that's what it has to be. Because I don't know if going and doing all of that with like toddlers or kids is that practical. You know, because it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. My dad, when he was in the Marines, he was out based in Egypt, at a base in Egypt. And he was working the flight decks on like F-18s. He was like an engineer working on the planes. And he said like, oh yeah, no, we would work out there. And some days it would get into the 120 degree Fahrenheit level. Like 120 degrees Fahrenheit just from being outside. And then also dealing with like the crushing heat of the engines of the planes and all sorts of stuff. Like it's wild. Yeah, Egypt isn't a family trip. Heard you have to be a little careful. Yeah, or or you've got to have like the money to go and get the private tour who's gonna take you to the places, help you avoid like the traps and the pickpocketers and stuff. Like it's just something you have to deal with. So I understand it's going to be one of those. Yeah, it's a dry heat, which to be clear is much better than like the muggy high humidity heat that you can get in like the South United States, but still 120 no matter what is a lot. Ball sweat has entered the chat. At least with dry heat, it'll dry. With that wet, humid heat in like Louisiana, you start sweating, you never dry off. Like you are always going to be just like soaked, and it sucks. Okay. Oh yeah, and did you guys see this? A federal appeals court confirmed that TikTok has until January 19th to be sold to a U.S. company or be banned nationwide. Jeez. And interestingly, this is like Trump said he wanted to stop it. He wanted to keep TikTok in, and he doesn't take office until what, the 20th? So he can't even issue like an executive order or anything. They're making it so they have to sell it or deal with it before he shows up, so he can't stop it. Buy it, Luke. I mean, honestly, for me, TikTok at this point is such like a dumpster fire. It's all TikTok shop related. From a creator standpoint, the ad revenue has started to like really dry up because all the brands know that this is going to be a thing. So they don't want to spend a bunch of money on advertising and dedicated videos that are going to be taken offline in a month. So the money's starting to dry up. And so TikTok just pushes TikTok shop, and it ruins the whole app. Because now like every third video is, oh, look at this hairbrush that also applies gel at the same time. You can also use it on your sandwich to apply jelly to a PB&J. Like, it's so stupid, everything they show on there. And it's more expensive than on Amazon, even if you did want it. And it's just dumb. It's just dumb. So for me, I don't think we're losing a whole lot if it is banned. Whether they actually do sell it or not, I think probably what they do is they embrace the ban, it disappears, and then a few days later, like, Trump will try to reverse it and get it back up. That's kind of what I would expect. But just imagine how much people are going to melt down when they try to open the TikTok app and it doesn't open because it's been automatically deleted off the App Store. People are going to lose their minds. lose their absolute minds. Bobby Kotick said he would buy it. That assumes that they want to sell it, and they've already said they don't want to sell it, because if they sell it, they give up the algorithm. So they don't want to do that. VPN sales. Yeah, I mean, that could help, but I think the problem is that like the App Store will cease distributing it. So like you won't, I know you can technically download some stuff, but you'd have to go to like Safari if you're on iPhone or Chrome on Android, and you have to browse on the website with a VPN to watch it. Like, and for most of the people that are watching like the most brain rot TikTok stuff, like, let's be honest, I don't think they know how to use a VPN. Google should buy it. Now it's a platform for shorts. I mean, I think they would if they could. But then again, YouTube Shorts, I think, are technically on a statistical level in terms of ad revenues, in terms of engagement levels. Like, I think Shorts are actually starting to perform on levels similar to TikTok. So we'll see what happens with it. But I would expect that they probably ban it. It's gone for a few days, and then Trump does an executive order or something to bring it back, and everything will be back to normal. But I think for a day or two, it'll be gone, and people will lose their minds. Not my worthless followers. Yeah, I mean, that's the most, it's tough to say, but like I've had talks with some very, very smart, very sweet people who are TikTokers primarily. They also do a lot of other stuff. But one guy I was talking to, he's primarily a TikToker, and, you know, he's got a lot of followers on TikTok. But I told you guys the story. We were at Summer Game Fest, and was it Summer Game? I think it was Summer Game Fest. But we were at Summer Game Fest, and you know, on paper, this guy has way more followers than me. Like if you look at TikTok, he's popping off. He's huge. But like I was getting recognized by a bunch of people asking for photos and stuff, and you know, it was cool. And he didn't get recognized once, and nobody wanted a photo with him. And he like started sulking so much that he left and went to his hotel room. Like, he was like an actual toddler. He was like upset that he wasn't the center of attention, and that even though he had more followers on TikTok, he wasn't getting that attention and wasn't being treated like a celebrity. So he left to sulk. It was like, it was really funny. But it's a problem with like TikTok is that because it's all short form, even if somebody does really like their stuff, they watch you for 10 seconds and then they swipe and move on. Like a lot of it may be bots. I mean, it's certainly possible. It's a Chinese run company. They've had problems with that before with social media platforms over there, but it could be bots. But part of it also is just like, there's people I probably am following on TikTok that I don't remember. If I saw another one of their videos, I'd be like, who is that? If I saw them in public, I wouldn't recognize them. I just thought they did a funny video one time and I pressed the plus button. You know, it's different. It's different compared to if you guys are here on stream and we're hanging out and talking. We are much closer as a result of this than if you were watching a 10-second video of mine, you know? And I think that's just something they don't understand until they do and go back to their hotel room to sulk. Because like, I've said TikTok views are like Monopoly money. Like it's probably worth something, but nowhere near what it looks like it's worth. You know, 1,000 views on TikTok is worth maybe 1 on YouTube, as far as I'm concerned. Certainly in terms of revenue, that's what it breaks down to. But especially in terms of impact, you know, it's not even close. Not even close. Long form stuff is where it's at. That's where the real influence lies. Let's see. You gotta love it when TikTok rewards and promotes ADHD riddled behavior. Well, and then like people are surprised that those people don't come over and follow through. Like the old video that we've looked at before was the let's see. Yeah, I think this is it. This is another dude's reaction to the clip, but I can't find the original clip. So this is what I was pointing to. But it was Grace_Africa, $1.2 million or million followers, millions of views on these videos. And then like,
and she found this video of this person. Her name is Grace_Africa. She's got 1.2 million followers on TikTok. Now, I looked on my phone because you can't really look, you know, there's like a built-in thing that links your YouTube and your TikTok or your Instagram if you'd like. And I looked at her Instagram and she's got like 161,000 followers and her YouTube has like 8,000 followers. It's not particularly successful. I'm not being critical or trying to do whatever. Actually, it's less. I think it's like 1,000. I don't know. But either way, apparently they set up a booking at VidCon, which, by the way, apparently is a COVID super spreader. And it says when you set up a meet and greet and no one comes, and this is the scene here of the,
like, is that not just the saddest thing you've ever seen? Like, here's the thing. It's very sweet. She made like little bracelets to hand out to fans. That's very, very sweet. I think that's adorable and very, very kind. And that's brilliant. Okay, so she seems like a lovely, lovely lady. I'm sure she's absolutely wonderful. But I think that this is one of those moments where you realize that like social media, especially TikTok, is not real life. Okay. Like 1 million followers on TikTok makes you feel like maybe you're a celebrity, but you're not. Like, it's just not the same thing. Now, if those million are actual millions, then that's great. That's awesome. If it's actually 1 million people and not botted in any way, not saying that you would intentionally bot, but I mean like the platform bots to increase numbers and stats, make it look better than it is. Even if those are actually like 1 million people that followed you, it still is like spread out across the globe. And they're people that followed you after maybe 15 seconds of interaction on a single video they liked of yours. The motivation to then like, not just go to a convention to meet you, but even if you were at the convention to then recognize you from that video, like that is just a different standard. It really, really is. And I think that moments like this, you kind of realize, oh, maybe social media is like not real life. Like I've across all of our channels, you know, I have a lot of followers on stuff. I am not anywhere near a Z-list celebrity. Okay. Like nowhere near. So if you ever see me in public, just come say hi, because I am not a celebrity. I'm not special. I'm just a dude. Okay. I'm a dude who runs a channel that has some numbers that are bigger than others. Like it's totally fine. But every once in a while you see people that just, they get in their head and they think that they're like big deals, you know? A kid once came into my 21 plus shop, and when I asked for the ID, he showed me that he has 3K followers on Instagram, and I literally laughed in his face and told him to GTFO and take his followers with him. Good. Because it's like, it's just, it's not as, I think people are starting to realize that, especially on TikTok, it's like, it's not an actual social currency, you know, especially because you can bot, you can do stuff like that. One of the things I saw is like, there's one guy that I know I met at one of these events and did TikTok stuff, and he does like a lot of big giveaways to boost his followers. So he'll promise like a PS5, and he says, oh, most of the time I don't even send it out. I just say I'm doing the giveaway, and I'll have some requirement, like they have to email me back within an hour of me announcing the winner, and I'll announce the winner and then they don't reply within an hour. And so nobody wins it. It's like, I'm pretty sure that's illegal, but okay, whatever. And you know, as a result, he's got a lot of followers, doesn't really have a lot of viewership, certainly doesn't have fans or anything, but his number is big on the channel. So he feels really successful. And a lot of these marketing agencies that are doing these like gaming events, they don't understand the difference. They just see the big number and they invite those guys, even though they are literally just like, what's the term? Is that what grifting is? It's like grifting on to the trend because it's what's popular, even though they have no actual interest in it or care for it. You know, that's fraud. No, yeah, in the US you have to clearly outline like the terms and conditions before you do a giveaway. You have to say exactly how it's going to work before it happens. Most states also will require you to have it be like something you can enter without having to pay. Otherwise, you need like a lottery license. So if you do a giveaway, that's why they're often like no purchase necessary. But it just means you have to like write in your entry on a letter and mail it. And it'll take 3 weeks to arrive, and then you get 1 entry. But if you buy this one thing for $1, you get 20 entries instantly. You know, that's how they typically do it. But I will tell you, most TikTokers, dare I say every TikToker I've ever seen that's done this has not been following the law. It's been a thing. Yeah. Finance Friday, time for hot coin now. Oh, dude, that whole... Part of me is like, yeah, I think you should go to jail if you're literally pumping and dumping. Like that, I'm pretty sure is legal as well. But also, if you lost thousands of dollars because you tried to invest in Hawk Tua coin and you got scammed because you were trying to buy a coin promoted by a girl who went famous a few months ago for saying Hawk Tua spit on that thing. At that point, I'm almost convinced that it's a tax on stupidity. Like at that point, it might just be that you deserve it. You know? And you know what? Like, I still think you should probably go to jail because like you're literally stealing from people, even if those people are really, really, really stupid. But I also don't feel that bad for the people that lost that money. You know? I really don't feel that bad for you. Frankly. I think they should go to jail. But if you're like looking for sympathy for me because you bought that coin and got scammed, you're not going to find it. Okay, just to be clear. Oh man. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Oh well, I gotta catch up on the. I keep getting distracted. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, and I've got that video pulled up, the Thread Interactive. Did we ever confirm, Anon, that you were talking about that one I said? I'm trying to scroll up to see the fake optimization in modern graphics. That video. Is that the one you were talking about? We can look at that. A newer one, I think. Okay, let me pull up the newer one. Oh, the dynamic lighting? 9 years ago. Yeah, this is the one you meant. Okay. You're totally right. This is the one you meant. Okay, I've got that pulled up. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Hello from Serbia. Hello. That's cool. Treble Champ, thank you for that 5. I am playing Dark Tide on PC and PS5, and I can't help but think that Suicide Squad should have been a similar game. Yeah, I think it would have found a lot more success that way, but I think they also needed to do more fan service and give people what they actually wanted and not turn them away. Zoe Lawless is an influencer from Kick. It does kind of seem like that, like proudly streaming crimes. It's a little funny. It's who's that guy that's about to go on trial? Somali. That dude, like, he's gonna get locked away for ages, as he frankly should be, because dude's a menace. Take thing for that one. Remember the saying, numbers don't lie. I mean, real numbers don't lie. Fake, fudgy, or fudgeable numbers do lie. Johnny Somali. We don't want Johnny back. Yeah, nobody wants him. I hope Korea doesn't let him go. I mean, he's like very openly like assaulted people, and yeah, in my opinion, he should be locked away. Is he still streaming on Kick? Like, how does Kick hold these people? Like, it's the same thing with Rumble and Kick. People have asked, like, would you stream on Rumble? Would you stream on Kick? Would you put videos up there and all that? And I'm like, the problem is those platforms have such a stank to them that everybody who sees them just immediately thinks, oh, if you ended up on Rumble, you're like an extremist politically, or you are somebody who likes talking to kids or something like that. Like, it has such a stank to it. Nobody wants to be associated with it. Same with Kick. It's like, unless you're a gambling streamer, what's the point? What's the point? Take thing for the 5 that Hawk Tua has the 3rd biggest podcast in the US behind Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan. Why would she go and ruin that with a crypto scam? This might come as a surprise. The Hawk Tua girl might not be that smart to realize what she was totally doing when she started peddling a crypto scam. The Hawk Tua girl might not be the sharpest knife in the drawer. Okay. Like, it's very possible. What I think probably happened is that she has this big platform. Somebody came in and said, hey, we're going to give you this massive check, more money than you've ever seen in your life. We're going to give you that. And all you have to do is promote this crypto coin, just like Bitcoin. You've heard of Bitcoin, right? Just promote this. It'll sell. You'll make a ton of money on the coin. They'll make a ton of money because the coin will blow up and make tons of money. Everybody will win. She's like, well, gosh darn, that sounds good. Decided to do it. Now she's in this spot. And she's trying to save her career. But Luke Coffeezilla made a video and that's what happened. Oh yeah, see, like I think the simpler the solution, the more likely it probably is. And for her, I think she just got walked over by some people that took advantage of her naivete, and that's what it is. But she should admit that. Like, she should be very, very clear about that. And I don't think there's anything she can do to make it up to them, because the people that made the real money were the people that pushed her to do it, like the crypto dudes. But to me, like, maybe I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure like intentional pump and dumps are illegal and the SEC does not allow that. So unless they're like overseas somewhere, which they might be, like you would think that they would get the feds going after them, but this happens so consistently that it seems like there's just no stopping it. She's on about minute 14 and a half of her 15. Did she profit off of it? If not, then no crime, right? I think it was like the Boogie thing. You remember Boogie? Boogie got paid $10,000 to promote Fatty Coin, which was a crypto coin based on his name. They put it out there. He promoted it. It pumped up. They dumped it. Boogie got his his $10,000. And was it MILF Coin? I don't remember which one. But he pumped it up. He got his paycheck. The people who made the coin and paid him the 10 grand made a bunch more money on top of that. But he didn't necessarily directly benefit from the pump. He got his money from the initial payment. Kama Moon, thank you for the 5. What the heck is Hawk Tua? Do you mean the I can never say this word. Onomatopoeia. Jesus, for spitting. Yeah. That. There's a Diddy coin and Diddy's oil coin. Jesus, dude. Of course there is. Of course there is. I think it was Boogie was the one that lost his life savings because he put it all into like, it was something gross. It was like cum coin or something. He's like, just imagine what I have to do explaining this to my tax guy. So you had net losses in the stock market of $450,000. Yeah. What was that? Was that a real estate deal that went bad or something? No, I bought jizz coin or something. Like, it's so stupid. But, you know, again, maybe it's just a tax on stupidity. So stupid. Finance Friday is great, but somebody got rich off a banana with duct tape. So, yeah, you know who bought that, right? It's like a crypto millionaire. Like some crypto bro bought it. So, you know, what goes around comes around. News segment. Let's talk about this real quick. So we touched on this in the members only stream that you may have missed last night. We booted up a short stream just for members of Luke Stevens Live to check this out and to look at the Indiana Jones reviews when they went up and all that. But as part of that, we mentioned this story we're about to touch on, and you could have seen it first if you were a member. So if you're not a member, make sure to join, because that makes me happy. It'll make you happy because you get a bunch of perks. That being said, the PC specs for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 dropped. And with these, immediately, like we had just come off of looking at the PC specs for Indiana Jones. And so I was like, oh no, is this part 2? Is this another one? Well, no surprise, the game is heavy. The game's going to be tough to run, as was the first one. But you see, they say average performance, 1080p 30 for low. Recommended specs is 1080p at 60. That's recommended for 1080p performance. Recommended stats to hit 1440p at 60 is with a 3060 Ti or 6700 XT. Recommended 1080p high settings to get 30 FPS there. So these are based on the graphical settings you're putting. For that one, they see 2060 Super. If you want to hit 1440p on high settings and hit 60, you're going to need a 4070. Okay, on high settings, I think that's perfectly reasonable. And then on Ultra, and this is what gave me pause. This is what made me go, oh no, is this bad? But just wait. Best settings, 1440p at 60 or 4K at 30. The best they can do is 30? Oh my God, cancel them. Wait. Okay, just calm down. Wait. 3700K or 13700K. 32 gigs of RAM. That's the one thing that surprised me. It's like they are really pushing heavy RAM. And that to me suggests, recommended RAM of 32. Don't modern consoles have 16? Am I making that up? I'm pretty sure modern consoles have 16. And that's the whole thing with the Series S is that it has 9, but 1 gig of it is for the system. 16 shared across the system and the game. Yeah. It's heavy. It's heavy. If they are telling you need 32 gigs of RAM, that's a lot for a game. But they go on 4080 to achieve 4K 30 or 1440p 60 on ultra settings. Now, what is the big problem with the recommended spec sheet for Indiana Jones? The big problem was that they had these average performance stats listed for that game, but they were average performance with DLSS enabled and frame generation turned on for most of them. Some of them didn't require, but for like the high end settings, it all required that to hit playable frame rates. So if they said to achieve 4K 30 on ultra settings within Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, the Great Circle, you had to have DLSS turned on, you had to have frame generation on, and then, you also had to have a super powerful graphics card, which is a red flag. If you need to rely on those technologies to hit stable frame rates, we're in trouble. That's Jedi survival levels of optimization. So I asked a question. I replied to this and I said, is this based on the native resolutions or does this factor in / require an upscaler like DLSS to hit these targets? In other words, will you be able to get even better frame rates if using one of those upscalers? And Mr. Toby, Sir Toby, came to the rescue and said, yes, these are all native without upscaler in mind. And that is very, very good to hear, because that means, as you can see, they followed, where did the tab go? I had the tab somewhere. Yeah. As he followed up, he made a separate post after that where he's like, oh, let me clarify. And here we have the hardware specs. Maybe an important note. The PC specs are listed without any upscaling in mind. Upscaling will, of course, boost FPS if necessary, even on weaker hardware. Also, check out the new trailer. So, once again, to be clear, if you have this hardware, this is what you'll achieve rendering 4K natively. If you go and turn on DLSS, if you turn on frame gen, your frame rates go up from here. So, if you have a 4080 and you're trying to run it at 4K, you should be able to hit 60 because it'll render at 1440p on quality mode, I believe. It'll be at 1440p, and they're already saying that will be able to achieve 60. And, the upscaling doesn't take much frame time at all. And if you're going even below that with like performance mode or auto or balanced or something like that, instead of just the quality setting, you should be able to get even better performance out of it. So based on these stat sheets, it actually looks like a graphically intensive game, but one with very, very reasonable requirements and optimization based on what I'm seeing here. Beyond that, they also shared the expected performance for consoles. And this is interesting. I appreciate them being so transparent with this and also coming out and just saying very clearly what it's running at and how. The Series S will run it at 1080p 30. No shocker there. It's basically a souped up 1X console. So it's not surprising that that hardware is struggling to run it above that. I think that that's reasonable, especially because the Series S, I mean, it's basically designed to offer modern games at 1080p. That's what it's basically built for. The Series X will have performance and fidelity settings. Performance runs it at upscaled 1440p, and it's using AMD's Fidelity FX, and then it's hitting 60 unlocked with VRR, so it'll bounce around a little bit, but that's what they're aiming for. The fidelity setting will go